Dear students, this is Anup, course instructor of Principles of Communication System for fifth semester B section. So, welcome to yet another online tutorial on Principles of Communication System. So, in this recorded session, right, I'll be addressing some of the topics in first module which are not explicitly mentioned in your syllabus but was a part of previous year university question papers, right? So that's why even though we have officially declared first module finished, right? So in what I'll do is from this week, the recorded session I'll dedicate for such topics from first module and to solve some problems in a step-by-step manner so that like you will be able to uh, appreciate all the concepts which you have learned, and also you will be able to perform in university exam in a better way. So from this week, right, the topics such as SSBSC generation, VSB generation, all those are not a direct part of your syllabus, all those are not explicitly mentioned in your syllabus. Well, we'll start discussing, and after that we'll discuss some previous year university question papers as well. So maybe for next three recording session I'll dedicate to this such topics and problems in first module, right? So to start with, we'll see the single sideband suppressed carrier system analysis, right? We have just seen SSB-SE system as a straightforward extension of a DSB SE system, that is double sideband suppressed carrier system. So a double sideband suppressed carrier system after a filtering, right, will give SSB system. It will retain any one of its sidebands and the other sideband will be suppressed. That's what we have mentioned. But maybe we do have to analyze the time domain expression, and also we should see some of the generation and detection methods of SSBAC in detail. And similarly, after that, we'll discuss the details of vestigial sideband modulation. Right. First, vestigial sideband modulation, I had given you a homework and I had asked you to, along with the submission, I had asked you to write submission comments asking what is your doubt. So I could see most of you have submitted the assignment, so no one asked any doubt. So I know it doesn't mean you don't have any doubt. Maybe, right. What I'll do is all those topics which you have not encountered so far, right? So I'll just take up in this recorded session. So to start with, we'll deal with SSVAC system analysis, and for that we do have a very important prerequisite, that is the knowledge of Hilbert transform. So in this session, I will be discussing about Hilbert transform, its basic definition, how to like interpret or visualize Hilbert transform operation in frequency and time domain, and some important or basic results of Hilbert transform which will help us to analyze SSBAC system. That is what we are going to learn in this particular video, right? So as the name suggests, it's a sort of transform. So you have heard of other transforms like Fourier transform, Laplace transform, Mozart transform, right? So this Hilbert transform, it is a transform of that kind, but the difference is the transforms. If you apply Hilbert transform to a particular time domain signal, the resultant signal also will be in time domain. So then what does this Hilbert transform do? So maybe you can see that from the definition. So Hilbert transform can be considered as a linear operation, right, which shifts all positive frequency components of a signal by pi by 2 radian and all negative frequency components of a signal by plus pi by 2 radian. So that is what a Hilbert transform does, right? We know if you take a spectrum of a signal, it will have a positive and negative frequency component. So we have already discussed it, right? So this Hilbert transform, what it does is it will shift all the positive frequency components by an angle plus pi by 2, or it will provide a phase shift of plus pi by 2 to all positive frequency minus pi by 2 to all positive frequency components, and will give a phase shift of plus pi by 2 to all negative frequency component. And one more thing which you have to keep in mind is it will not alter the magnitude, so it just shifts. So if you consider a signal sine or cos 2 pi fct. If we consider signal cos 2 pi fct, right? So its Hilbert transform will be cos 2 pi fct minus pi by 2. That's it, right? Cos 2 pi fct minus pi by 2. So that will be sin 2 pi fct. Hmm. So that is actually Hilbert transform. So it shifts a time domain, it transforms a time domain signal into another time domain signal, but its phase is shifted by an amount minus pi by 2. If you are considering only positive frequencies, the phase will be shifted by minus pi by 2. If you are considering positive and negative frequencies will experience a phase shift of minus pi by 2, and negative frequencies will experience a phase shift of plus pi by 2. That is the definition. So if you don't bother, you don't worry if you didn't understand, right? So maybe we'll try and uh, put some effort to understand what actually is Hilbert transform. And Hilbert transform as such in detail you will be studying in your 6th semester digital communication, right? So Hilbert transform, pre-envelope, all those aspects. But here, what exactly is required for analyzing, say, SSB and VSB signals, I will be we'll be trying out. So normally, if m of t is a time domain signal, say m of t, if it is a real value time domain signal, its Hilbert transform is represented as m cap of t. Normally, we'll write it as m cap of t. So that is how we'll represent the Hilbert transform, right? So now, if you are assuming Hilbert transform operation as a filter, right? So Hilbert transform operation as a filter, maybe I can call it Hilbert transformer, right? So don't confuse it with our actual transform. It's a filter. I named it as actually what Hilbert transformer, right? If we assume Hilbert transform operation as an LTI filter with impulse response h of t, right? If a LTI system has an impulse response h of t, right? The Fourier transform h of t will be actually h of that will be frequency response. So then, what we can do is, if, maybe I'll represent the signal as m of t. My signal is m of t, right? And I'm giving it to an LTI system with impulse response h of t. So this is our Hilbert transformer, right? Hilbert transformer. It is an LTI filter, right? So I'm giving m of t here, then I should get m cap of t here. So as this is an LTI system, right? This m cap of t should be equal to m of t convolved with h of t, right? M of t convolved with h of t. So mathematically, convolution is actually what? Integral minus infinity to infinity m of tau into h of t minus tau d tau, right? So this is in time domain, right? So now, if capital M of f is the Fourier transform of m of t, or spectrum of m of t, and if m cap of f is Fourier transform of m cap of t, right? So then, in frequency domain, I can represent m cap of f, right? So in time domain, m cap of t is convolution of m of t and h of t. So in frequency domain, that will become multiplication. So m cap of f will be equal to m of f into h of f. So we can write. So this uh, now our aim is to find out what could be this h of f, or what is this h of t. Like that is what we have to find out. So we'll maybe from basics we'll try and find out that. So, and one more thing what I want you to appreciate here is this h of f, right? It is actually what frequency response. So if you right, consider that this h of f, it will be a complex number, it will be a complex quantity, right? So it will have a magnitude, I can call it mode of h of f, and it will have a frequency, I can call it angle of h of f. So any complex quantity, I can represent it as actually what? Real part plus imaginary part, I times imaginary part, or r angle theta, magnitude times phase. So this h of f, it will be a complex quantity, right? The magnitude of that will be mode of h of f, right? We'll represent it as mode of h of f, and phase of h of f as a function of f will be actually what? Angle of h of f. So I want you people to appreciate that. So with this, we'll use this concept to what? We'll use this notion and this statement 1 to start deriving the frequency response of a Hilbert transform function, right? So now, right, so if we inspect this point 1, the point 1 says Hilbert transform is a linear operation in time domain, and it will not alter the magnitude. So it will, if the Hilbert transform will not affect the magnitude of a signal, so which means you are multiplying m of f with h of f, right? So if you multiply m of f with h of f for all frequencies, the h of f will not alter any frequencies. It will not actually what uh, alter any frequencies, right? It will neither attenuate or even amplify. So this h of f, right? The magnitude of h of f should be equal to 1 for all frequencies. So I can write that, right? So as I said, it will not alter the magnitude of frequency component, right? So I can write this mode of h of f. Mode of h of f is equal to 1 for all frequencies. I can always write this, right? So mode of h of f is equal to 1 for all frequencies. If I plot mode of h of f with respect to frequency, this is f, and if this is mode of h of f, right, it will be equal to 1 for all frequencies. This will be equal to 1 for all frequencies. This is actually what mode of, this is how I can plot mode of h of f, right? And similarly, it says it the phase shift, right? Phase shift is actually what is has to do with this mode of HFF. So I'll just give you some more clarity, right? So this change in magnitude, so you are multiplying a number with another number. You're multiplying two complex numbers. If you're multiplying two complex numbers, right? So two complex numbers I can write as, right, say if it is R1 angle theta 1 into R2 angle theta 2. So normally while multiplying, we should write the complex numbers. It's convenient for us if we are writing the complex numbers in polar forms. If you are multiplying two complex numbers, the resultant magnitude will be r1 into r2, and the resultant angle will be theta 1 plus theta 2. So angle will be sum and magnitude will be actually what? Product of magnitude. So it says, right, the first point says, right, it will not alter the magnitude. So magnitude of h of f should be equal to 1. From this actually what this result is following, right? So then another point is it phase shifts, right, all positive frequency by minus pi by 2. So I can write, right, angle of h of f, angle of h of f is equal to, maybe I should write it in a piecewise manner, right? It is equal to minus pi by 2 for f greater than 0, it is mentioned, right? And it is equal to plus pi by 2 for f less than 0. So if we have considered the case f greater than 0 and f less than 0, so now we can tell it is not providing any phase shift to what frequencies, f equal to 0. So f equal to 0, right, if at all there is any DC component, it is going to what? Not provide any phase shift, it is going to leave it as such, right? Maybe so how can I draw this actually? How can I draw this? Maybe mode of, so when you have studied Fourier transform, right, so you might have like a spectrum, you will draw magnitude spectrum and space phase spectrum, right? So magnitude spectrum is nothing but what? Plotting magnitude of the spectrum, magnitude of this h of f, right? So this h of f as such will be a complex number. If you are plotting its magnitude, that will be actually what? Magnitude response. And if you are plotting the phase with respect to frequency, if you are plotting magnitude with respect to frequency, that is magnitude response. This is the magnitude response, right? And if you are plotting phase with respect to frequency, that will be phase response. So if you plot the phase response, you will get something like this, right? You will get something like this. For f greater than 0, that is equal to minus pi by 2, so it is minus pi by 2. And for f less than 0, that is equal to plus pi by 2. So this will be the phase response. If we are putting these two together, right? If we are putting these two together, right? So we can write, right? We can write, right? This h of f, right? This h of f, it will be something like this, right? H of f, normally we won't write a spectrum as such. Either we'll draw magnitude spectrum and phase spectrum separately, or we'll consider only magnitude spectrum, right? So this h of f, right, it's something like this. It will provide some negative, right? It's equal to, right, it will provide some negative phase shift for positive frequencies and positive pi by 2 phase shift for negative frequencies. And if you can just imagine, right, the uh, term, right, this minus pi by 2 phase shift of minus pi by 2, right, this h of f I'll write here. This h of f is equal to, right, h of f is equal to, I'll write here, it is 1 angle minus 90 degree, right? H of f is equal to 1 angle minus 90 degree for f greater than 0, right? This is equal to 0 for f uh, is equal to 0, and this is equal to 1 angle plus 90 degree for f less than 0. This is what we have now. So please keep in mind. So from this discussion, from the basic definition and the notion of actually what LTI system, right, we have systematically we have came to this much. So just remember, h of f, its magnitude is 1 for f greater than 0, and it is 1 even for f less than 0, right? It is say uh, maybe not defined, I should tell. I can't write it say 0, right? It, I should say it is not defined for f is equal to 0, but it doesn't provide any phase shift also, right? So maybe we don't have to think about what is the magnitude of h of f at f is equal to 0, right? So this is what we have, right? So now this one angle minus 90 degree or one angle plus 90 degree, right? So now we'll just try and represent this. I'll just rewrite it here. This h of f is equal to, I'll write it here, 1 angle minus 90 degree for positive frequencies f greater than 0, right? And 1 angle plus 90 degree for f less than equal to less than 0, right? So if you write this one angle 90, this one angle 90 degree, if you consider it as a phasor, right, if you consider it as a phasor, right, it's a phasor, it's a complex quantity, right? I can represent it in complex plane. So its magnitude is 1 and angle is 90 degrees, so it will be somewhere here, right? It will be somewhere here. So this one angle 90, the phasor will be this, right? One angle plus 90 will be this, and one angle minus 90 will be this, right? So this is one angle plus 90, and this is one angle minus 90. So I can even write it as actually one angle plus 90. I can write it as actually what it is equal to j. It's only it has got only complex part. You can see here the real part is 0, right? I can write one angle plus 90 as j and one angle minus 90 as minus j. Why? Because it has got only what negative real part, right? So now, right, uh, what I can write is, right, I'll just write it here. So this h of f, right, I can write h of f to be equal to, right, minus j signum of f. So I hope you know what a signum of f. So those who don't know what a signum of f, I'll draw here. Signum of f is a function, right, which is equal to plus 1 for f greater than 0, right? So this is f, right? And if this is signum of f, right, if this is signum of f, so signum of f is a function which is equal to plus 1 for f greater than 0 and which is equal to minus 1 for f less than 0, right? So signum of f is plus 1 for f greater than 0, minus 1 for f less than 0. So then what will be minus j signum of f? Minus j signum of f, right, that is h of f. It will be something like this. I'll just plot here. So this is h of f, right? h of f as such will be minus j into signum of f. So for f greater than 0 it is plus 1. So plus 1 into minus j will be minus j as such. So it is minus j, right? And minus 1 into minus j will be plus j, right? So it is plus j, right? And at 0, so signum function at f equal to 0, we can assume it to be equal to what? 0. The signum function, right, at f equal to 0, we can assume it to be equal to 0. So signum of f, maybe I'll write the definition here. Signum of f is equal to 1 for f greater than 0, right? 0 for f equal to 0, and minus 1 for f less than 0. This is signum function, and this h of f is equal to minus j signum of f is something like this. So h of f we got. Now what should be the frequency response of the Hilbert transformer, right? This h of f is equal to minus j signum of f. So right, I can write if this m cap of f we have seen in previous slide, right? M cap of f is equal to m of f into h of f. So it will be equal to minus j signum of f into h of f, right? So that will be, this is how we can represent m cap of f, Hilbert transform m cap of f, right? So right, so this is how the frequency response of Hilbert transform was defined, and it is quite straightforward, right? We can use any method and solve that. This inverse Fourier transform of minus j signum of f, right, to be equal to 1 by pi t, right? So inverse Fourier transform of minus j signum of f, that will be equal to 1 by pi t. This minus j signum of f is nothing but what? It is h of f, and its inverse Fourier transform should be equal to h of t. So like, it's maybe I'm not spending time on this, right? So if you want, I can share the material for that. So it's right, you can just remember this result for the time being, right? Inverse Fourier transform of minus j signum of f is equal to 1 by pi t. So h of t is equal to actually what? H of t is equal to 1 by pi t, right? So m cap of t, right, m cap of t I can write as in time domain. So in frequency domain, m cap of f I have written as actually what? In frequency domain, Hilbert transform of a function can be written like this. So we have already shown it, right? So now m cap of t in time domain will be equal to m of t convolved with h of t, right? The h of t is nothing but what? 1 by pi t, right? And we have seen in previous slide, right, the convolution. Right, maybe I'll just go back to previous slide. Okay, fine. So convolution is actually what? Convolution integral. It is equal to what? It is equal to integral minus infinity to infinity, right? It is, say, maybe I can write it here initially, minus infinity to infinity, right? M of tau times h of t minus tau d tau, right? So what I should do is, right, this m of tau, t should be replaced with tau, so it is again m of tau, and this in h of t, t should be replaced with t minus tau, right? So here I have actually what? 1 by pi t, right? So that t should be replaced with t minus tau, so it will be divided by pi times t minus tau, right? Then d tau. So this is how Hilbert transform was defined in time domain. So that is what I just wanted to tell you, right? So in frequency domain, Hilbert transform was defined like this: m cap of f is equal to minus j signum of f into h of f. So it's this frequency domain representation follows straightforward from its definition. It says, right, it provides a frequency, it provides, it's a pure complex number, right, with for positive frequency the phase will be actually what, minus j is nothing but what, minus pi by 2, and for negative frequencies, right, for negative frequencies the place will be phase will be plus j, that is equal to what, plus pi by 2, right. So that it follows from the basic definition. And we can, if we can find the inverse Fourier transform of h of f, right, that is inverse Fourier transform of minus j signum of f, that will be equal to 1 by pi t, right. So now we know h of t is equal to 1 by pi t. We can write m cap of t as actually what, a convolution integral of m of t and 1 by pi t. So that will be equal to what, m cap of t. So either we can obtain m cap of f and find its inverse Fourier transform to get m cap of t, or else we can evaluate this convolution integral as such, right, to obtain um, m cap of t. So and now I would like to give one more result. I'm not going into detail, right. So and this we won't be using it, but one very important result of Hilbert transform. So m cap of t, as we know, it is Hilbert transform of m of t, right. If you take Hilbert transform of Hilbert transform, right, if you m cap of t, if you take Hilbert transform of that, that will be equal to minus of m of t, right. That will be equal to minus m of t. That is another one result which you should, right, which you can keep in mind. We won't be using it, but it's I just told this so that you can relate it with this. So if you Hilbert transform, if you take m cap of t, right, is nothing but what, positive frequencies of m of t shifted by minus 90 degree. M cap of t, right, is positive frequencies of m of t shifted by minus 90 degree, right. And again, if you take a Hilbert transform, it will, right. So one Hilbert transform will shift it by minus 90 degree. Sorry, one Hilbert transform will shift it by minus 90 degree, and one more Hilbert transform will shift another minus 90 degree. So total there will be a phase shift of minus 180 degree. So minus 180 degree means it's actually opposite phase, opposite polarity. That is actually what this minus, right. So that is some result which you can keep in mind, right. So now we'll move on to the further discussion. So we'll just quickly we have seen the definition of Hilbert transform, right. So we have told Hilbert transform is a linear operator, right. And as it is a linear operator, I can represent the Hilbert transform operation using a linear time invariant filter, right. If that filter has a frequency response of h of t, sorry, a time impulse response of h of t and the corresponding frequency responses h of f, right. Starting from the definition, we found the magnitude of the frequency response will be equal to 1 for all frequencies, right. And it will shift by minus 90 degree all the positive frequencies, and it will shift by plus 90 degree all negative frequencies. From that we derived also with the knowledge of signum function, right. We know signum function is plus 1 for all positive frequencies and minus 1 for all negative frequencies and 0 for zero frequency. With the knowledge of that, we just wrote the frequency response of h of f as actually what, minus j signum of f. So if you see, if you take magnitude of this, so magnitude means it's a complex number. You can see it has got only imaginary part, right. The complex number will be real part plus j times imaginary part. So real part is 0, so it has got only imaginary part. So imaginary part it is signum of f. So magnitude of signum of f will be equal to 1. So for positive side, magnitude is plus 1, negative side magnitude is minus 1. So it will be, for magnitude we don't have to consider this sign, so it will be plus 1, right. But phase, you can see it is minus j for positive frequencies and plus j for negative frequencies, that is h of f. So now we can represent m cap of f, that is a Fourier transform of Hilbert transform, right. F of a Fourier transform of m cap of t, that is equal to what, m of f into h of f. So h of f was minus j signum of f, and oh sorry, this should have been m of f of, please excuse me, right, it should have been m of f, right, minus j signum of f into m of f, right. So that is what is Hilbert transform in frequency domain, right. So now we tried and found out this Fourier transform of this Hilbert transformer or this h of f, inverse Fourier transform of this h of f. So that is equal to 1 by pi t. So that means h of t is equal to 1 by pi t. So in time domain, I can represent m cap of t or Hilbert transform as m of t convolved with 1 by pi t. So this 1 by pi t is the impulse response of the filter, right, which we used to what represent the Hilbert transform, right. So this convolution integral I can write as actually what, integral minus infinity to infinity m of tau divided by pi t minus tau d2, right. So this is how we write in time domain, right. So now we'll see some more useful Hilbert transform result, right. So say Hilbert transform of cos 2 pi fct, sin 2 pi fct, all those things we'll just try and find. So I'll tell one thing, we are not going to derive it. Why? Because you will study all those derivations in detail later in 6th sem, right. But now I'll just list down those results. So Hilbert transform of uh, I'll just list down it. Cos 2 pi fct, it is equal to cos 2 pi fct minus pi by 2 by 2, that will be equal to sine 2 pi fct, sine 2 pi fct. And similarly Hilbert transform of what will be sine 2 pi fct, sine 2 pi fct, Hilbert transform of sine 2 pi fct will be equal to sine 2 pi fct minus pi by 2 minus pi by 2, right. This will be equal to minus cos 2 pi fct, right, minus cos 2 pi fct. The reason is we can interpret it in many way, right. So one is 2 pi fct, if this angle is in first quadrant, 2 pi fct minus pi by 2 will be in fourth quadrant, right. So 2 pi fct, if it is some angle in first quadrant, this minus pi by 2 will be in fourth quadrant. So in fourth quadrant sign is negative, so because of that it is minus cos 2 pi fct, right. So you can right, so that is right, it's minus cos 2 pi fct. And one more result which I can write as Hilbert transform of del of t, it will be equal to, so Hilbert transform of del of t is equal to 1 by pi t, right. And similarly Hilbert transform of 1 by pi t will be equal to minus del of t, or you can use, if you know Hilbert transform del of t is 1 by pi t, right. Then once again if you take Hilbert transform of this, you should get minus of m of t as per the result what I have discussed, right. So that is actually what minus del of t, right. So these are some results, right. I just for you to appreciate these things. Hilbert transform of a time domain signal in turn will be a Hilbert transform signal. It just shifts the phase of the signal by pi by 2. But in this case, when of del of t, it's an impulse function, and 1 by pi t, right, it's a um, function of time which is defined for all values. So here you may not be able to visualize only it is phase shift, but in these two cases you can at least visualize it as the phase shift, right. So now one more very important thing is actually what, analytic signal, analytic signal, or say pre-envelope, right, pre analytic signal or pre-envelope. So before I move ahead and discuss what is analytic signal, so maybe what we'll do is we'll just imagine there is a band pass spectrum, right. say m of f, right? Please don't confuse it with m of f, the message signal. So it's just a signal. I'm just using m of f as actually what spectrum of a signal m of t, right? So the spectrum, say it looks like this. The spectrum looks like this. You can just assume, right? So this is say minus fc, and this is say plus fc, right? This is fc plus w, right? This is fc minus w, this is minus fc plus w, and minus fc minus w, right? So then this m of f is actually what, its time domain counterpart is m of t, right? And the Hilbert transform of m of t will be equal to m cap of t. So if we know all those things, right? So the positive pre-envelope or analytic signal, so we can either write m a of t, right? That is equal to m plus of t. We'll see what exactly is this m plus of t. That is defined as m of t plus j times m cap of t. So this m of t, it is a real valued signal. So if you add right uh, m cap of t as a complex j times m cap of t with m of t, you will get something. So we'll call it actually what, analytic signal or pre-envelope. So if you add this, you will get positive pre-envelope. M plus of t is positive pre-envelope. So and similarly, if you have to get negative pre-envelope, m minus of t, it will be equal to m of t minus j m cap of t. So we have to see what exactly is this. So now this is what we will be, this is one useful result which we'll be using in actually what, representing or this one in SSB signal, right? So we'll just see what exactly is this, right? What it does to a spectrum. So even though we won't see what exactly happens to the time domain expression. So if you do this, if you do this operation, what happens, how the spectrum is getting modified, that is what we are going to see next, right? So that's what Hilbert transform application analog signal, right? And the basis of that is actually what, the concept of analytic signal or pre-envelope, right? So to start with, right, so we have assumed the uh, m of f as a real valued signal, right, with a spectrum like this. M of f is a real valued signal with a spectrum like this. So this is our m of f, right? It is plus fc and minus fc, again fc plus w, fc minus w, minus fc plus w, and minus fc minus w, right? So this, as m of t is real valued, so I'll just write it down here. As m of t is real value, the spectrum will be symmetric about f is equal to 0. So we have already discussed it before. So if I request you to see some of the previous videos, initial videos, right? So so it will be, so m of t is a real valued function in time. So its spectrum will be symmetric about f is equal to 0. So now we have defined m plus of t. So positive pre-envelope is equal to m of t plus j times m cap of t, right? So now I want to take Fourier transform on both sides. So if I take Fourier transform of this, what I will get, right? So Fourier transform is a linear operator. So if Fourier transform of m plus of t is equal to Fourier transform is a linear operator. So Fourier transform of a plus b will be Fourier transform of a plus Fourier transform b. So Fourier transform of m of t plus j times Fourier transform of m cap of, sorry, I should write Fourier transform here, right? Fourier transform of m cap of t. So this will be equal to if I represent Fourier transform m plus of f as m plus of t as m plus of f, this is equal to Fourier transform m of t as m of f plus j times Fourier transform of m cap of t is m cap of f, right? So now I can write this is equal to m of f, right, plus j times, but m cap of f, right? So from what we have seen in previous slide, I can write it as actually what, minus j signum of f into m of f, right? So m cap of f I can write as minus j signum of f into m of f. So it will be equal to m of f plus j into j, right? J into j will be minus 1. That minus 1 into this minus will be plus 1, right? So I'll get signum of f into m of f. So I can take m of f common out. So it is m of f times 1 plus signum of f. So now what is this 1 plus signum of f? Right, we'll just try and plot that. So if I plot 1, right, if I plot, well, I'll try and plot it here, right? Maybe I'll try to save space, right? If it is 1, 1 is like this, right? 1 is 1 for all values of f, and signum of f, if I plot, signum of f is plus 1 for positive frequency and minus 1 for negative frequency, right? So it is plus 1 and minus 1. So this is 1 and this is signum of f, and signum of f is equal to 0 for, say, 0, but yeah. So now if we add these two, what we will get? So for positive side it is 1 plus 1, right? If you add the positive side, you will get, I'll draw the resultant here, right? So for positive side, 1 is 1 itself, signum of f is 1, so you will get 2, right, for positive side. And at exactly equal to 0, it will be 1 plus 0, that will be equal to 1. At 1, at 0 it should be 1, if at all, if it is existing, it should be equal to 1, right? And for less than 0, it will be 1 minus 1, that will be equal to 0. So what is this is what we'll get, like maybe I'll use some other ink, right? So this is what we will get. It is actually what, 1 plus signum of f, it will be something like this. 1 plus signum of f will be something like this, right? Now if you multiply m of f with this, so what happens is this frequency, right? So this m plus of f, I will write here m plus of f, I am going to write it down here, right? So this m plus of f is equal to 2 times m of f for f greater than 0. You please verify with this, right? So m of, so for f greater than 0, 1 plus signum of f is equal to 2, right? 1 plus signum of f is equal to 2. So this m plus of f will be m of f into 2. So it will be 2 times m of f, right, for f greater than 0, right? And it will be equal to, so for 1 plus signum of f is equal to 1 when f is equal to 0. So it will be equal to, right, 1 plus, it is equal to, but m of f, you can see it is not defined at, right, whatever be the it is not defined, it's, as we are multiplying it, m of f is, in this case m of f is not defined. So if at all m of f is defined, right, so at, say, f is equal to 0, the value of m of f will be m of 0. So I can write it is equal to m of 0 at f is equal to 0. And you can see for f less than 0, for f less than 0, this is equal to 0. 1 plus signum of f is equal to 0. So m of f into 0 will be 0 for f less than 0. So you can see what happens, right? For positive side, whatever spectrum we do have, it is doubled, right? But negative side, it is removed now, right? So we have conveniently removed the negative frequency content. So if I plot this, if I plot m plus of f now, right, m plus of f now, right, so at f is equal to fc, so maybe I'll draw it here, right, f is equal to fc, right? So initially if you assume this amplitude is m of fc, right? But now at f is equal to fc, it will be 2 times m of fc, and this is fc plus w, fc minus w, right? And at f is equal to 0, it was initially also 0, now also it is 0, and f is equal to f is negative. So always in spectrum, right, I have not mentioned all these things should be f, right? Even though I have not mentioned, the independent variable should be f, right? So please consider that. So what this is actually what this one is, m plus of f, right? This one is actually m plus of f, or we will call it positive pre-envelope or positive analytic signal, right? So this concept, so what actually is this? We are adding a signal plus j times its Hilbert transform. So it is eliminating the negative frequency part completely, right? So right, maybe you should keep this in mind. So this is what, right, this is where, right, I didn't tell what exactly will be the application of this in analog communication. As and when time, right, comes, we will discuss that. But now I would be very happy if you can appreciate what this operation, and what this operation m of t plus j m cap of t does to a signal. It is actually what, eliminating the entire negative frequency part. It is nullified, right? So similarly, I told m minus of t, it is equal to m of t minus j times m cap of t. So you can just imagine, so what will happen in m minus of t, only negative part will be there, positive frequency will be removed, so it will be reversed, right? So maybe you can just try it out. So this is what, right, a Hilbert transform will do, like, or this one of the basic applications of basic uses of Hilbert transform is actually what the use of analytic signal. Maybe we will use this concept to explain the single sideband modulated signal, right? So now we'll go ahead and right. So the concept of pre-envelope. So that is uh, m plus of t is equal to m of t plus j times m cap of t. This is positive pre-envelope, right? And m minus of t is equal to m of t minus j m cap of t. This is negative pre-envelope, and this we have seen m plus of f. It is equal to twice m of f for f greater than 0, m of 0 for f equal to 0, and 0 for f less than 0. And similarly, m minus of f for negative pre-envelope will be equal to 0 for f less than f sorry, greater than 0. I'll just take this eraser and erase it, right? 0 for f greater than 0, m of 0 for f equal to 0, and twice m of f for f less than 0. This will be negative pre-envelope. So we will use this concept later. So please uh, feel comfortable with this. So you have not studied Hilbert transform before. So whatever is required for this, starting from the basics, I mentioned. The only thing is we have not solved any problem. So that is not actually what uh, within the scope of our syllabus solving this. But even I have, for you to appreciate some the concept of Hilbert transform, I have given you some standard results, right? I think that would be more than sufficient. So now we can straight away move on to single sideband modulation suppressed carrier, right? Single sideband suppressed carrier modulation time domain description. So what you should remember is, right, so we have seen, right? So in our regular discussion, we have seen suppressing one sideband of DSBSC, right, as a whole reduces the transmission bandwidth and results in single sideband suppressed carrier modulation. So now we must start with the concept of DSBSC now. So I think DSBSC during our regular session I have discussed in detail, right? So I request you to what, but even here, if when we have derivation, right, I will start it from the basic again, right? So we have to start from DSBSC. So before that, right. So now SSBSC time domain description. So we'll just have a quick recap. So how SSBSC's signal is obtained, right? Sideband filtering of DSBSC signal result in SSBSC signal. So we have seen this. You know what exactly is this, right? And depending upon the filter used, either upper sideband or lower sideband will be retained, right? So if you remember, the approximate shape of an DSBSC signal was something like this, right? So in this, right, in this, if you uh, retain upper sideband, if you retain upper sideband and suppress the lower sideband, right? If you retain upper sideband and suppress the lower sideband, right, then you will get something like this. You will get something like this. This will be your right. This shaded part will be your spectra of SSB, right. Instead of that, if you suppress the upper side band and only transmit the lower side band, so then the shaded part will be your SSB spectra. So we'll, depending upon the uh, characteristic of filter used, right, it will change whether it is actually what, only LSB or only SSB which is used, right. So now for our convenience or for our derivation or our analysis of time domain signal, we'll assume, right, a DSBSC signal is passed through an ideal filter HL of T. So this is the filter which gives single sideband signal from double sideband suppressed carrier, right. So HL of T is the impulse response of that filter, right. So why I call HL, it means low LSB is retained, right. So these are retained, LSBs are retained, that's why I'm calling it HL of T, right. So we get SSB signal. So I'll call DSBSC signal as SDSB of T, right. Normally we used to call only S of T, right. But now as I have to differentiate between SDSB and SSSB, I think, right, this subscript will help us for this. So SDSB of T, right. And so you can see the Fourier transform of SDSB of T will be capital S DSB of F, and Fourier transform of HL of T will be capital HL of F. So now we want to find out what should be this HL of F, right. So what should be so we will be inspecting only an ideal case, right. So we have to find out what is this HL of F, right. So how to find its transfer function HL of F, right. For that, actually we should know how this DSB SC spectrum look like. So this is how we know if M of F is something like this, this is how a DSB SC spectrum will look like. But just simply merely knowing that won't help, right, for us to write answers in exam. So we should have a mathematical model. So we'll, from basics, we'll try and come up with a mathematical model. So we should start from what is DSBSC system. So we'll just write. So as DSBSC system is nothing but what, M of T times C of T, where M of T is a baseband message signal and C of T is carrier, right. So we'll assume M of T has a spectrum. M of T has a sort of spectrum which is like this, right. So it is 0, it is W minus W, right. So this is spectrum of M of T or M of F, right. So it has a maximum frequency content equal to W, right. It has a maximum frequency content equal to W. So later on I may tell this SSB is suitable for audio signal which has a DC gap. So we have discussed those DC gap and all. So maybe later I'll again emphasize that. For instance, you can assume, right, it is M of F as a spectrum like this. So then SDSB of t, right, that will be m of t into ac cos 2 pi f ct. So I can rewrite it as, maybe I'm just trying to actually what find out the spectrum. Some of you had already asked some doubts. We are not yet clear how the spectrum was obtained, right? So I used to tell frequency shifting property or modulation property. Maybe I should explain. Some of you have already approached me, so I'll just explain it. So this is equal to m of t into this ac cos 2 pi f c t. By Euler's equation I can write e power j 2 pi f c t plus e power minus j 2 pi f c t divided by 2. I can write it like this. Now this will be in turn equal to, I'll write here, right? So maybe I can save some space. So it is ac by 2 times m of t into e power minus j 2 pi fct, e power plus j 2 pi fct plus m of t into e power minus j 2 pi fct time. So now I need to find, so this is actually what s dsb of t, this is the time domain expression for ssb signal, right? Now if I should get capital S dsb of f, I should take Fourier transform of S dsb of t. So please make sure while I am writing time domain expression, this S should be capital, and while writing frequency domain expression, S should be sorry, while writing time domain, S should be small, and while writing frequency domain expression, S should be capital, right? So and we found this to be equal to what? AC by 2, right? This m of t into e power plus j 2 pi fct by frequency shifting property, that will be equal to m of f minus fc, that is m of f shifted in frequency by an amount fc towards right, plus m of f plus fc, right? So that is what is this spectrum. M of f if shifted right by an amount fc, and m of f shifted left by an amount fc, right? So this is the spectrum of S DSB. So maybe in so some of you even have asked me how come this m of t into e power place plus j 2 pi fct, its Fourier transform m of f minus fc. You might have learned it already in signals and system, but I can repeat it, right? So now I'll write this S dsb of f is equal to AC by 2 times capital M of F minus FC plus capital M of F plus FC. So for your query, how Fourier transform of M of t into e power, say j 2 pi fct, right? How this is equal to M of f minus fc, this was the question, right? So how it follows from the definition of Fourier transform, right? So Fourier transform is defined as minus infinity to infinity. So m of f, right, m of f is equal to minus infinity to infinity m of t into e power minus j 2 pi ft dt, right? So now the Fourier transform of m of t is m of f, right? Now if you multiply uh, Fourier m of t with e power j 2 pi fct, so say this is some other function, so what will be Fourier transform of that, right? So Fourier transform of m of t into e power j 2 pi fct will be, right, integral, so Fourier transform of m of t into e power j 2 pi ft, 2 pi fct. Fc is a constant frequency. This will be equal to integral minus infinity to infinity, right? M of t into e power j 2 pi FCT. This FC is a constant value of frequency times e power minus j 2 pi ft dt. Now this e power minus j, I can actually what take common out and I can write, so it will be equal to minus infinity to infinity m of t into e power minus j 2 pi. I can write f minus fc times t dt. So if m of t into e power minus j 2 pi ft is m of f, right? If I replace f with f minus fc, it will become actually what? M of f minus fc. So that's it, right? So that's how the DSB-SC spectrum is like this. So if I draw the spectrum, I'll draw the spectrum here, and I'll draw the I have drawn the spectrum here. So the spectrum has, right, so I'll just use some other ink and mark FC minus FC and all those steps, right? So and right, this peak amplitude also maybe I can, right, I can draw, right? So this is equal to, this level will be equal to m of fc, right? So this is the spectrum S DSB of f. Now if I need to isolate only this lower sideband part, if I need to isolate only this lower sideband part, right, and discard this upper sideband part, I should have a filter, right? I should have a filter which is of this shape. I'll just draw the filter shape, right? Filter shape or filter transfer function. The filter transfer function should be ideally like this, what I have drawn with this blue ink, right? So this should be the filter transfer function HL of f. So I'll draw it below as well, right? So the filter transfer function should be something like this, right? So I'll this is fc, this is minus fc. So 0 from plus fc to minus fc, that ideal filter should have a magnitude equal to 1. So this is HL of f. So this is what we need. Right now, how to obtain this mathematically? So in next class, we will see this filter, right? So we can see in next class this filter will be equal to HL of this filter HL of f. I can write this will be equal to, we will see in next class, it is equal to half times signum of f plus fc minus signum of f minus fc. So in next class, right, we will see how can I represent this filter using the signum function and proceed and get the uh, time domain description of SSBSE. So till then, right, maybe I'll wind up the session. So you can see this as a tutorial. In this tutorial session, I will be explaining all those steps in detail and we'll be solving some problems. But keep in mind, in regular session, in live sessions, we'll be continuing with our uh, angle modulation discussion. So thank you so much.